Welcome everybody for the Luminar Neo editing session. Everybody can hear me all right?
Can hear you fine.
Yeah, fine.
Great, great. So this is the latest version of Neo. I think the last time I did this was in like January. It was like 1.6. Now they're up to 1.91. And so they have made some improvements. So let's jump into it and check it out. So here's just an agenda and overview, the features. I've done this presentation before, so we'll do a demo and then who am I? I'm not sponsored by Skyhome. I'm an affiliate, and I will receive a small pro commission if you use the link. And you can also use the code DLC10 for 10% off. Plus, I'm the organizer of the meetup. So appreciate everyone being here. Skyhome is the publisher of Neo. This is their only product they have now. They used to have various products over the years. They were known as MacFun back in started in 2008. They've done HDR with Aurora and Luminar AI. Those are all depreciated, not used anymore. They are based in the Ukraine. They have about 200 employees around the world. So there's some information about donating. Hopefully this war will get over with and back to. I mean, they've been doing an amazing job. I can't imagine what they're going through, losing power and having the lights out at night and things like that, as stories I've heard. So some people have left the country. So hopefully, again, that war will be over soon and get back to whatever new normal will be for them as well. So Neo is a creative photo editor. It's driven by AI technologies, which is a big buzz in obviously in photography and the news even now. So they did a new platform built on a new engine from the ground up. So it is more like Photoshop and Camera Raw and design, and they've added extensions. So it's a parametric photo editing job where you can keep adding the same tools over and over again, and I'll show that in the demo. You have a smart history. That's where you can roll back and multiple times. It's a non-destructive editor, is a raw processor. It can be used standalone as a plugin to Photoshop and Lightroom. And that's how I generally use it, as a plugin for Lightroom. And they have Luminar Share mobile app where you can send your photos from your phone to Neo and back again to social media. So this was kind of some, comparing to other editors like Photoshop, which had a major update this week. So I want to show that, but I'm going to show it towards the end of the presentation. I was going to jump right into it, but I was having some problems with it. So I'll do what I know right now, and we'll go from there. As Photoshop's been around for 32 years, and I don't know if everybody's seen this update with Photoshop. It's pretty amazing what it can do. And I think obviously Neo is going to have to come up with something similar to it. And they've been going back and forth, with like the sky replacement. Neo actually had that first before Photoshop did. And so they've been kind of, which is good for competition. So, yeah. So again, you need to find the workflow works for you. This is the bottom line. So it's $149 for the lifetime version, and there's different levels of subscriptions. They've been kind of pushing more subscription, and so there's a little information about that. But I think for what it's worth or what it costs, I think it's worth, that. I think just getting the lifetime is what I've done initially, and I'm not a big fan of subscription, but that's, they say a lot of people prefer subscriptions, and I know not everybody does. So plus and minus to both. So the requirements, it does take a lot of memory, and you need pretty high graphics card, and so it's some information about that. And this was the latest news from Skylum, manufacturers of Neo, is that they're working with Microsoft and they with the is with their Surface computer. So it's like a tablet, and they with their developers kit, and they did a benchmark of the super sharp AI model, which I'll show here in the demo. And they did a benchmark where it used to take over 2 minutes. Now it's taking 8.4 seconds with the neural processing unit. So that's pretty good to hear that they're working with Microsoft. I mean, considering they used to be a Mac only, when they first came out, it was just Mac only, and so now they're working with Microsoft and getting the performance. And so definitely looking forward to that. I'm not sure if I want to buy a Surface Pro yet. So I was looking, it's like it's over $1,700 tablet. So it's something, it's good to just to let you know that they are working on speed boosting the processing of the technology is just advancing so fast. So it's good to see. And they have several new extensions. They have an HDR merge. So they had the Aurora. I think I mentioned before that was being depreciated. It's now part of the product as an extension. Most of the extensions cost like $49, which I think is pretty reasonable price for. I mean, I think Aurora is probably more than that. Most of the HDR programs by themselves and cost more than $50 than that. And there's a list of other ones. I'm not going to read all that for you. And so they had the new tools, the relight, and to be able to remove the power lines and dust spots. And I'm just going to go through these very quickly. We have presets. The presets have been created where you can change the levels, and I'll show that. They have layers that are pretty good, and they have albums, which is similar to collections. Although as an asset management system, it's still not quite up to par with Lightroom, but it's getting pretty close to it, especially with these albums and collections, similar to collections. And that's what I kind of stuck with Lightroom is I'm created all these collections and spent a lot of time working with those collections that I'm kind of stuck in with Lightroom. So that's one of the reasons I'm still using it. These are some examples of power lines before and after. I don't have any examples in what I have here, so that's what kind of included them in the slides. So it did a pretty decent job. If you had a lot of trees and things like that, it could be kind of challenging. But again, here's with the sky replacement and the relight. And a couple of clicks, and you can transform kind of a flat drop image to something that's pretty nice looking. And then thanks to Rob Track, which I see you didn't even sign up to get on him for that. I do have some of his photos we could show, and thanks for everyone else who provided photos. And that's it for now. Let's see, I need to get out of this, and I want to see. I lost. All right. Where is my media controls? Everybody still here? No one else joined us. All right.
Hey David, quick question.
Yes, certainly.
Uh, on the sky replacement,
Uh-huh.
can you go like completely, for example, can you go like from a blue sky to completely red sky? I mean, total transformation, or is it just a slight change in sort of the same color, but maybe a little brighter or more clouds or what have you?
It is a complete replacement. So uh, it's a complete replacement of the sky. So whatever, I recommend, taking your own skies. You can buy skies, but to me, that means that's not my work. That's someone else click click that photo and
Yeah,
I'm taking their
yeah.
image
There's a lot.
and
Imagine there's a lot of presets, right? I think you said
yeah,
that.
there
Yeah.
and yeah, you can buy oh, many libraries of skies. People sell them, and again, it's like that's not my work. That's somebody else's that I'm putting in my image. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, you can create if you have a red sky that you took and you want to put it into your drab landscape, go for it, and does some adaptive things with it. I'm not sure why I'm having trouble with. I can't get. I'm stuck here. What am I doing wrong? Zoom is not playing with me right now. Got the meeting controls, but where are they? I don't see my meeting controls. Never had this much problem with Zoom. I can see the tab for it. I need the control panel. What am I doing wrong? This is frustrating. I can see it right here in my tab. Where is it? It's so weird. Uh, Demo hell. I think I might have to leave and come back. I don't know what else to do right now. I think I need to restart Zoom, which I hate to do. I'm gonna try to leave the meeting. I'll be right back. Owen, can I make you the leader? I'll make you the host. You all right, Owen?
Sure. Yep. No
I don't
problem.
know what happened. Well, wait a minute.
Yep. I can hear.
Of
Hello?
course. Now it showed up on my other monitor. Sorry about that. I think. Oh, come on. There we go. Sorry about that. I need to start a new share. And I want Luminar. You guys see Neo now?
Yep, we see your the screen.
You see the full screen now?
Sure do.
Great. Okay. Back to Neo. So this start at the upper left-hand corner. It's got the Luminar Neo logo, and this is where the menu is. So it's all about the catalog, editing, image information, viewing, get your account, Windows, and then there's some help. You can check for updates and all that fun stuff. So this is the catalog. I added these photos. So it says I started with a blank catalog initially, and then just added these images. So this is when I took at the colors, the Indian Festival, and then this one I got off the internet. There was Photoshop technique to get rid of as part of the beta thing, an add-on to remove the chain link fence, and then these Anita provided, and this one's from Nick. So let's start with Nick's. I just double clicked on it. So again, I'm in the catalog section. Go to presets. And the catalog does give you the film strip. I know one of the big complaints right now is when you go to the edit thing, you lose the film strip. So, and this is some way you can go through and see all your images all one after another in the catalog. And they also have the extensions. They give you some metadata on top of what camera it is. And then they have the HDR merge. So if you have 3 images, you can do that if you have any focus stacking images, and then you can also upscale. So those are the extensions that you have to purchase or add on separately. That do not come directly with the software. I'm going to go to presets, and it does some there's an eval of the image, and it tells me, that for this photo, you can come with these presets, and then there are additional ones below that you can pick as well. So I can pick one of these, the easy landscape. Let's see. Let's try something real quick. You guys still see my screen? I was doing another screen to share.
Yep.
Sure do.
It's giving me a message about. I have 2 monitors, so that's my challenge. Is trying to. I'm looking at to the right of my right monitor where Neo is. I guess I'll leave it that way. So here you can, as you move your mouse over the preset, it gives you a preview of it. So that's kind of nice. Where's the dog starts barking then? And then I can pick one of them. And then you can also you can now you can vary that intensity of the preset, which I always appreciated in AI had that feature. So I'll start out with that one and go to edit. So here's the edit screen. As on the left hand side is the layers. So this is the base image, and then on the right side is all the tools, and it does show you here's the edits. So this is what and does take in the raw file. And once you make some changes to the raw file, it won't say that it's a raw file anymore. But this shows you what some of the changes that it did make in the preset. And so generally, the way I start is first thing is to do with cropping. Overall, I think the image is pretty well cropped, and you can see what the AI does in the composition. Although it seems to me like it always does a pretty similar crop, but you can override it. But yeah, probably something like that would work. And you can also make sure that horizon is straight, and you can change the ratios. You can do free form, where it has a lot of standard ratios built in. So before I go any further, any questions on the crop tool or anything I've talked about so far? Elena or anybody?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no
now
problem.
click apply. And now we've got it cropped in. Some of the other, it has some favorites. You can mark some of the tools as favorites. And sometimes that can be, especially if you hide it, it actually moves it. I think is one of the complaints is you have all these tools down here, and then somehow it gets, so where'd my tool go? It could have been moved under the favorites. For some of the extensions, I'll go through the noise. I think this was a pretty low ISO. I'll just do a little bit of the noise reduction. Like I said, it wasn't a real noisy image, but it zooms in and kind of shows you for what it does and at 100%. It's like in the shadows, that's where you would see a lot of noise in the shadows. And then you can also do a little bit of sharpening. Usually, I've always taught that you should do the denoising first, to remove the noise of the image first, and then you do the sharpening like last. With this tool, I've heard it doesn't really matter as much because it is like the layered approach to the image. So all your edits are on different layers, so it doesn't make as much difference then. I did forget one thing about the presets. If I go back here and add a preset or change the preset, any edits that I do in the meantime, from the time that I've had this image in Neo, I would lose those. It would start from scratch and start with a new preset. So that's why you generally do the presets first and then go from there. So just be aware that you can lose those, any other changes to the image. We can do some, I'm not sure if it's going to do magic light. No, it's not. It evaluates the image and sees that I can't do magic lights. That's where you go like spotlights or street lights, and it can add starburst in that to the images. I do like to use the enhance tool, the accent AI. This evaluates the image AI. I think that really brought out those clouds. So you can do some sky enhancement as well. So yeah, these are pretty nice looking clouds. The sky AI, you can change it to something else. It picks some for this image. and it's just going to automatically we'll change it to a different sky. And why you'd want to do that with with that one, and then I can show before and after, and then I can also undo it. Is what those two buttons do. And it's pretty extensive changes. You can do the whole sky orientation. You can flip them around. You can mask them. You can do some relighting of the scene. You can help with the reflection, and then any other sky adjustments. So there's a lot of options here, the sliders to play around with in skies. So the develop module is pretty similar to like what you have in Lightroom or other tools. Got your exposure. Smart contrast is pretty nice, but you do have to watch. I mean, it can go too far. It does help with picking up some of the colors in the sky and even in these buildings down here. You can turn down the highlights if they're too bright, and then you can let's put on the shadows, like bring out the shadows or darken them down. So the erase tool is pretty good. It's almost as good as some of the content aware. I can show as you have like a small brush, and you can pick different spots. Maybe I don't like that little cloud up there. Different things you can, move the little brush around in the image like that. I'm just picking some spots. I jump out, and you can zoom in as well. There are some, whoops. We deselect that. There we go. You select and deselect. There are some power lines down here. See, if I hit the erase button, that'll take out whatever is underneath, and it does content aware. So right there, you can see that whatever's there has not been replaced. And once you close it, let's see if it recognizes any of the power lines. It's not gonna get rid of the poles, I know that. Let's see if it analyzes. It finds the power lines way down there. Nope, didn't do it. They're too small. If you have any dust spots in here, here's how you can remove those as well. Structure AI is another way of kind of fine-tuning, sharpening a little bit. I think Neo has like 3 or 4 different ways of sharpening and enhancing the image. You can do some of the structure AI, and then you can boost it, and that'll do a little more fine-tuning of it. And we've got color is where your saturation and vibrance. And if there's any color cast, I don't think this one has much. It has a little haze. And I know you can even do HSL, use saturation and luminance. You can even add within the, skip over some of the in black and white details. Details kind of is nice to do a little sharpening. There's a little fine tune. That's what I used to use before they had the super sharpening. And don't know if you can notice that some. It does a little sharpening and masking. And got the landscape, and this is where the dehaze. Let's see if it. And you can also. That's kind of. Gotta be careful and not overdoing it. Golden hour adds a little warm to it, and then the foliage I can go extreme. You get a little some crazy greens, but again, don't want to go too far. And then I always like to have a vignette, and it's a pretty good tool. It's pretty subtle. You can change where the subject is and from the center. And I would that's about 74. That's a little rough. You generally don't want your vignette to be really noticeable. So sometimes around 50 or so. And then you have all the creative tools. You can add some glow, change some of the atmosphere. Here you can add the fog. That's like it's adding real foggy. Scale it down. You can even change the depth and the lightness of it. Go back on that. You can add your own sun rays, where the sun is. So it thinks the sun's over in this area, which seems about right. So again, I'm just using a couple of sliders, and you can add some sun rays. There's some options for that as well. So you get a preview is before and after. Professional has a lot of super contrast. There you can get even more details, highlights, midtones, and shadows, and some of the harmony, color harmony. And they finally did add the dodge and burn and clone stamp. So that's kind of nice. That was one of the features that they added since January. So again, any questions?
None here.
All right. So Tim, did I get
I have an odd one.
Okay.
Is it possible to edit metadata in this or not? Is that not something that's in
No,
here? Okay,
no, that's
just curious.
yeah. I don't even think you can do it in Lightroom. I think there's some other tools. I've got Exit Pilot. That's one tool that you can edit the exit data. So are you familiar with that tool, Tim?
No, I've got one I've been playing with called Meta Image.
Okay.
It's in the Mac App Store. I don't know if it's available for Windows, but
Okay. Yeah, Exit Pilot, I think is.
it would just be nice to have it all in one place, is all. So.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to, let's see, which image? We'll do Anita's. I think it was one of the last times we were at the Little Art Gardens. There was a ton of fog on that day. Again, it looks like I pretty much took the same preset. Again, you can look at actually showing scenery as this one instead of easy. I could do like a fast fix. Again, I can tone it down a little bit. like the one that's more black and white. Kind of like more volume, more color into the gazebo. I'll turn it down a little bit. And then go into the edit module. We're going to go through the same steps again. Start with the crop tool. And do the AI composition. Might want a little bit on the right. Like that. Gives you can see about the horizon, make sure it's straight. I think I should have other images. Again, this wasn't, what was the, yeah, this is ISO 200. There's like be a lot of noise. Kind of zoom in, you can see, pretty sharp. We can try to sharpen it up a little bit. I do try to, again, try to use the just a light touch of the low sharpening. It doesn't get too crunchy or over processed. Taking some time going through that image. There you go. That's a little better. Getting the before and after. Yeah, you can see that rooster a little better on the top of the gazebo. The geese. Let's see what we can do with some of the structure. Well, I was going to do the enhance AI, the accent AI. There's no sky, so it recognizes that automatically that I can't do any sky enhancement because there's no sky. You can leave some of the clouds in there and add them moody. And you can add some of the erase tool. You just kind of go pick some spots that are distractions. And you can zoom in and make sure you don't miss anything. Print it and find out you missed a spot. There we go. Whoa. How about that didn't turn out very good. Actually, like I clone that one over. And sometimes I've heard it does do that, the erase tool, so I can undo it. And maybe it'd be better to show you the clone stamp. If you use the clone stamp in Lightroom or Photoshop, it's similar to that. You have to set the source, and then you just paint over. It seems like it's duplicated. I might need to just make it smaller. You can change the softness and the strength. I think that cleaned up pretty good. Here's before and after. That's the clone stamp. Dodging and burning. You don't have to. I might first, before doing some dodge and burning, I might add some of the vignette to darken some of the parts of the scene on the bottom. Might kind of brings out some of the other parts that might need to be darkened. Again, it's all your how you want to design. It's your artwork. So let's see if we can make some things darker. I don't know why it's so big. The brush has two different layers, has the strength in the middle, and then the softness on the outer edge. Some lightening there. What I really want to be doing is darkening. Again, I want to shrink it down a little bit. Add some more of the softness. That's a little bit overboard, but kind of get the idea. I'm at 100%, that's why. And then I can go back to the edits. Here's the edits that I was working on, and I can delete these. If I want to remove it, just hit the back button, and then it goes away. Then you can actually delete it like it never happened. You can get a pretty good idea about that. Make sense, people? Anything else you would do with this image? It's mystical. Yeah, I think that will keep in with the shadows. Here's before and after. It kind of enhanced the clouds and the water. Might be a little bit too rough there, but looks good. Dramatic. Also with the landscaping, showed the foliage enhancer. Again, gotta go pretty light with the slider. Of course, don't want to really dehaze because that's all actually making kind of magenta. Yeah, want to do any dehazing. Whole point of the image. All right. Yeah, I do like this slider too to go back and forth.
Foliage enhancer is interesting. I've not seen that before.
I've not seen it.
Not the foliage enhancer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I said, you do have to do a light touch because it can get kind of alien green, but
Is it kind of like a clarity? Not really, right? Because it's just supposed to be foliage, I guess, huh?
right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hmm. Does it, can you send it back? Can you go it all the way to the other side again? I just want to see the far, yeah, okay. So the
Yeah,
trees in the back, well, no, they are. The trees in the background, I was thinking they were staying the same.
they're getting hit a little bit.
Yeah, not as much, but yeah.
Yeah. And these up front are real. Probably just bumping up that saturation with the greens. But it does recognize it was doing the AI stuff, so it knows these are trees and grass and everything. It's not affecting the gazebo or anything else, the water. Uh,
Does that foliage enhancer also sharpen the foliage? It's hard to tell on this screen. So
yeah. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit and see if it's because here you can see the leaves and the brush.
so it's doing some sharpening too. Hmm.
That went out of focus. Let's see, there we go. I'm just going too far just to demonstrate, but I don't know. It was pretty sharp to begin with. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything like over sharpening it or anything like that. Just punching up the colors that you want to normally do. Yeah, I would keep it pretty low. That's before and after. I'm using my wheel, my to zoom. There's a zoom button here. You can fit the screen. And the other options, you can save all my changes as a preset, or you can just revert to the original and start over from scratch. Some of the other changes, you can right click, you can set flags, rotate. You can also export. This is how, if you use it as a standalone, here I'm using it as a standalone. If it's used as a plugin, you'll get an apply button or cancel if you want to apply it, and then it'll send it back to Lightroom or Photoshop. But if you use a standalone, then you have the option of where you want to save it, what the formats are. You can do as a PNG, TIFF, PSD, even a PDF. You can do some sharpening, although I wouldn't recommend, because you don't really know how much sharpening it's going to do, and it could overdo it. And you can also resize it, different dimensions. It could be freeform or a long end. It's got some color space. You can do the Pro Photo, and you can change your resolution. You can change this to like 300 if you wanted to print it, or 400, whatever, in high quality. I think even with the PNG, you can say the transparency. That's kind of nice. You can create your own images, especially with the layers. When you first start working with the layers, the first image that you bring in, that's essentially your. So that is your canvas size, and then you're working with that canvas size to add other images if you want to do like compositing within the layers. So that's how that works. Let me go back to the catalog. I want to see what else we can do. We'll pick the other one from Anita. Go to presets. Which get a little harsh. Is it back to, for this one, say nature is a preset. And you can buy other presets, and again, you can also create your own. If you have some settings that you find out that you're continuously using over and over again, you can save that, and then you can apply it. Again, just be careful not to apply it to something that you made changes to already. So what the way to fix that is to, if you want to apply a new preset to an image that you already edited, export that one that you edited as a new image, and then bring it back in as a new image, and then add the new preset again. Does that make sense? Let's see. Get really close to this. We can. It's got the little colors of the, like the lighting of the tree. Crop out some of this stuff. I think the subject's all dead center. You notice, yeah, the composition. I can just kind of pick something. I always seem to have to adjust it. And you can just move it around to whatever looks good to you. Something like that. Make sure the horizon's straight. If it wasn't, slightly. There we go. Okay. I was trying to think with distance, this is kind of hard to see. Little goose. So, got the cropping, enhance it. Again, it's not showing the sky, so it knows that. It needs to be sharpened. This seems pretty sharp. We lost somebody. And let's see. I think that's gonna be before and after. Let's see. We can try a layer. These are some of my images, and I did create actually on another podcast. So Skylum has these insider groups, and every day at 1 o'clock. Well, not every day. Excuse me. What was every day? They scaled it back to Monday to Wednesdays. They do a little tutorial at 1 o'clock in about 15, 20 minutes, and then they would ask me anything questions. And someone had a question about using these backgrounds. And so one of them is a black one. And so these are, you can you can add your own images, and it comes with some other flares and light leaks. So just with a bunch of button added and some sparklers. And you can add the opacity. Kind of has a Christmassy bouquet to it. And then you have your layers. Make it as an overlay, soft light. Gonna go crazy with it. Let's scale that back a little bit. And you can do masking on that. As an AI mask. This again takes the AI technology, and it's not 100% perfect. And those it says there's some sky here, but there really isn't. I guess it's reflections of the sky at the 4 which actually is more of the lake. So yeah. Yeah, it's got to, I think still needs some work. When we back those out. Go previous. You go with the tools, layer properties. You can hide the layer, remove the layer, and duplicate the layer. I'm just going to remove it. That was just something I'm playing with. Honestly, I haven't done a whole lot with this skies, the layers, excuse me, layers, and it's this image doesn't really seem to call out for anything. I'm going to jump out of here, go back. Let's pick the other one from Anita. You can actually, with the in the catalog module, as the HDR merge, you can actually do one image. You can do up to 1 to 10. Let's see, can I drag the photo? I don't need to add this. I need to be back in. Rotate, put it up and go. Excuse me. Let's see. In the catalog, and want to. There we go. Now we can add it. So we'll do a share merge on that. This process unit. These are some other ones I've done in the past. Put it in an HDR merge folder. One of the things with the HDR is you see some of the mistakes here where it didn't align it correctly. Because if you go to settings, you're going to need to auto align it. I was having problems with that. Let's see what it did with this image. There it is. So that did pretty good of comparing that image to the original one that came from Anita. So it puts it in its own folder. These were ones that we did before. That brought out the shadows quite a bit on the shore there. I'm going to go to presets, see what it selects. Still kind of nature. I'm going to just skip a preset this time. And let's see, do cropping. Yeah, we do the AI composition. Again, you can use freeform or different sizes. If you have anything specific, is use generally do 4x5. Make sure the horizon's straight. You get that right pretty good most of the time. So we can kind of do some erasing and kind of tone this down. Let's see if it can get rid of this log here. There you go. Do a little bit more cleanup. There you go, a little spot over there. Little twigs in the water. There you go. This is a pretty good job right there. So let's keep it small and a little bit at a time. Kind of zoom in. So I kind of did a little overzealous here. There you go. So let's see what else we can do. Maybe just some general landscapes. I need some people. God needs a sky. What do I do for the sky? There are all sorts of different skies. Like I said, you can buy libraries and we can make it like it was at night, the Milky Way, like that. Sure how great that is, but it's pretty interesting.
Pretty much seems like cheating.
Oh yeah, it is.
But it does a good job of cheating.
Yeah, you see, yeah, the reflection here from the sky to get that color in the sky reflects it. There you go. But this side doesn't look like it. Almost should crop that out because that's not doesn't look real on that side.
So if you were to go out and take your own picture of a sunset like that, just the sky and everything, could you bring that into the program and use that somewhere else?
Yes, I
So
think
it's just a regular picture. There's nothing special about it.
exactly. Yeah, I just hit the plus sign down here, and it's
Okay.
open it up, from the downloads. I can, if I had some skies, I used to have. I know I had some in Lightroom. I have some folders I have to look for, but yeah, it's just a regular image of you know. I think you kind of want like a landscape size, and you can play around with it too once you bring it in. But some fairly good size, but you can crop it in, on your own, and then bring it in. And then once you bring it in, you can do the adjustments.
Hmm.
It even here's controls the water blur and reflection amount. Yes. If there's any gaps, you can fix those and fix details in the masking. And here if you need to flip it around, you can do that. So there's definitely a lot of control that you have with the skies. There's before and after. Let me bring the. I got other people too. This is the HDR. I want to dim. Let's show you some of the quickly some of the portrait tools. I'll do some of the bokeh. So kind of, got an inexpensive way of having a 2.0 or 1.8 lens where you want all the bokeh in the background. You just do a slider. Again, focus and defocus. It's actually doing the masking there where it's in the background. Pretty subtle. Let me go max just to see if it's showing any difference. Yeah, a little bit. I kind of really bored out the background. And then you can do the face. You can light the face up. You can slim the face, which I don't. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Heard that a couple of times today. So I'm not going to change someone's face. That's who they are. That's not. But you can actually change the color of their eyes as well. It's kind of crazy too.
You bokeh the flower on the left, so everything up to that flower. Yeah, the next one over.
Right. Yep.
So everything up to the main flower is blurred.
Yeah, I think I have to go back to edits because I see I got kind of a little far.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I did go a little far, and I was just trying to go extreme. But yeah, generally we would want the flower not as or more in focus.
Yeah.
You can control, let's see, the background, some of the depth corrections and edges, the brightness. You want it darker in the background like that. Put more emphasis on the front. So does that answer your question, Owen?
So what I was wondering, can you take the flower on the edge of the frame and just bokeh that whole vertical? Yeah.
Let's see.
So so it has almost not a vignette, but just so that whole vertical line is bokeh, not just the back.
Let me go back to tools. Yeah, it looks like the portrait bokeh does not have, as you see, most of these other tools, they have masking as an option, like atmosphere. I can do masking, but the portrait bokeh does not have masking. So you just, I can apply it again. This is where you can apply this thing. We're going to defocus. Maybe I can add a defocus. It's still, because of the portrait, there's probably another way within masking I could do it, but not within the portrait bokeh. That's the answer.
Yeah. Or can you just crop that by, just crop that flower out? Because it's kind of just hanging on the end.
Go back up the crop. Yep. I can go free form. I'm gonna go like that. You can bring it down like that. Is that better? I can go out this far and apply that. And then I'll use the erase tool to get rid of these. And hopefully I don't get too much. I think that should do it. Thinking. Did a little bit more touch up. There you go. One last little pedal. We can
Oops.
also darken that image. Yep.
Oh yeah. That's much nice. I think that's called content aware in Lightroom. What you
Yeah, it
just-
is.
the erase tool?
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, that
so
looks
in Photoshop. Content, that's what it's called in content aware. Obviously, can't really call it that, but it's just the erase tool.
right.
But yeah, it does a pretty good job of better than what Lightroom could do. I think Lightroom is even getting better. And adding a vignette kind of helps as well. Darken that edges. And I think it has a few more options in the face. Probably see them better now that we actually made our face a little larger. You can change the iris as an iris flare. And enlarge your eyes. Add some whitening. I can zoom in here a little bit too. Let's see. I have to use the erase tool and get the one here. Sometimes I go just to see how far out with the eyes.
I can't see the whitening. That eye whitening, it can't tell really what it did.
Yeah, let me go to 100%, then you can. I see it here.
Uh-huh.
It is pretty subtle.
Yeah.
Unless you want to have the red eye removal. Like, when was the last time you saw a red eye? It doesn't happen anymore because people don't have flashes right on their cameras. You can remove some of the dark circles and you can improve eyebrows. That can help. And we got the mouth also. We can saturate the lips a little bit, make it redder, darken them, and you can whiten the teeth a little bit too. I think that looks pretty good. This one is definitely not as white as this eye is. Not sure why. And they also have options for the skin. And you can remove some of the shine, maybe some of the shine here. Probably a hot day. And do some skin defects removal. Didn't seem like it did too much. You can do some body changes, but again, I'm not gonna, we're just focused on the face. I'm not gonna change anybody's body image. It shows a high key. That's before and after. You can see the whites definitely, and that's kind of a
Yes.
little bit over here.
Can you go before again? Yeah. This is after. Yeah.
I don't think I like the high key as much. for this image. Yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Cool. We're getting on 8:30. I'm not sure how long people want to go through. I did want to bring this one up, see what I could do with it. It's from the festival,
Oh yeah, from the Colors Festival.
right?
Yeah.
Seems kind of flat. I think it's kind of interesting. Got the person with the mask behind him. Otherwise, it's really need to do some bokeh stuff on this one.
Mhm.
Let's see. Obviously, don't want black and white. But the color is the whole point. That really brings it out.
Yeah, that's good.
You think the AI in there is going to misinterpret the coloring on the faces?
It may. Let's see.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that tends to throw some of these programs, is when you have something unusual like that.
Right. Let me jump down to the bouquet. Portrait bouquet. There we go. Yeah, recognize that as the mask. I guess with if you notice, I'm using the brush to. It's always red is part of the masking. You know, it's picking this guy's back is also as part of the as a subject, which obviously is not the subject. So I can control that with the brush here. Actually, then I want to add and background. Then I can. It's kind of bored it out already. Lights low. Not the greatest photo I've ever taken, but it's
I like it much better like this.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I wouldn't even want to, I wouldn't want to remove those people in the middle there. I mean, I think
Right.
it adds something to it here. It just
Yeah,
makes it this way.
especially her mask and that. I need this butt. But I guess we can use the erase tool. So, all right. Anybody else have any other questions?
Not for me, but that was great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. This is a good introduction to this program.
Yeah, I mean, as you see, it has some pretty good power with the AI stuff as a tool. I mean, it's